All right, this video is over ellipses. It is another conic section. Okay, so I actually already have this first part filled in, so let's just go over it. So it says, an ellipse is a set of points such that the sum of the distances from any point on the ellipse to two fixed points remains constant. These fixed points are called the foci of the ellipse. D1, which is distance, plus D2 remains constant for all points on the ellipse. Okay, so no matter where, this right here is just one of the points, and we have two foci, right, or a focus, which is a foci. Okay, the distance from each of those added together will be the same no matter where you move this point around the ellipse. Okay, so more parts on the ellipse. So it says the major axis is the longer axis of symmetry. The minor axis is the shorter axis of symmetry. The center is the point at which the major and minor axis intersect. The vertices are the endpoints of the major axis. The co-vertices are the endpoints of the minor axis. Okay, so there's two different types of ellipses. You can have a horizontal one like this or a vertical one like this. Okay, so we have the center. Okay, the major axis here is the longer part, and then this would be the minor axis. So on the major axis, you're going to have your focus points and you're going to have your vertices. Okay, on the minor axis, you're going to have your co-vertices. So for a vertical one, this would be the major axis and this would be the minor axis. We have the center, we have the focus points, and we have the vertices. Then we have the co-vertices here. Okay, the vertices are plus or minus a units away from the center. Okay, so the distance would be plus or minus a. So you'd either have a positive a or you'd have a negative a. The co-vertices are plus or minus b units away from the center. Okay, your A should always be greater than B, and that's because your vertices fall on the major axis, which is longer than the minor axis. Okay, the length of the major axis is 2 times A, and the length of the minor axis is 2 times B. The foci are plus or minus C units away from the center. Okay, so the formula to find your C squared equals a squared minus b squared. And this is not Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared. Okay, so don't get that confused. This right here is subtraction, a squared minus b squared. The standard form, and this is when your center is at 0, 0, it's x squared is over a squared. So that a, where you had the plus or minus a for the distance from the vertices to the center, that's where that comes from. And then it's plus y squared over b squared, and that b is from your co-vertices distance, equals 1. Okay, so this is for a horizontal ellipse. If it goes to a vertical ellipse, the only thing that changes is these two numbers right here flip-flop. Okay, for standard form where your center is at HK, so this time it's shifted, your center's not at 0, 0. Okay, the only difference here is that you have a shift, so you have your H and your K, and those transformations are the same as the other stuff that we've talked about in the past. Okay, same thing on this one. The only difference between these two is that the denominators flip-flopped. Okay, all right, so let's actually practice this sum. So it says graphing ellipses. So it says write the equation in standard form, which means that you want to have your x squared and your y squared in the correct format. Graph the center HK, graph the vertices using the larger denominator A, graph the co-vertices using the smaller denominator B, and then use the formula c squared equals a squared minus b squared to find the graph, to find and graph the foci. Okay, so first we want to see if this is in standard form, and this is, okay, so we don't have to do anything else with that. Then it says graph the center HK. Well, our H and our K, there's not any numbers there, so our center is going to be 0, 0. Okay, then graph the vertices using the larger denominator, A. Our larger denominator is this one right here. Okay, so since this is our A squared, this is our B squared. So A squared equals 36, which means that our A is going to be 6 because the square root of 36 is 6. Okay, our b squared is 4. The square root of that is 2. So our b is 2. Okay, so our vertices, it has to do with the larger one, is going to be, well, if our A is right here, then that means that it's going to be a vertical, because looking right here, if our A squared is second, that means it's going to be a vertical ellipse. Okay, so if it's a vertical ellipse, that means that our vertices are going this direction. And so we go up 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we go down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so those points are going to be 0, positive 6, and 0, negative 6. So the way that you can write that is you can say 0, comma, plus or minus 6. Okay, our co-vertices are going to go this direction. And it's going to go 2. So here and here. So those points are going to be 2, 0, and negative 2, 0. So you can say plus or minus 2, 0. To find the foci points, we have to use this formula. Okay, so we have c squared equals our a squared is 36. And our b squared is 4. Okay, 36 minus 4 is 32. So we have c squared equals 32. Then to find out what our c is, we're going to take the square root of both sides. Okay, you take the square root of 32 and you're going to get something around 5.66. Okay, now our foci points are always on the major axis. So it's going to be on these right here. So 5.66. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be somewhere right in here. And somewhere right in here. Okay, so those points are going to be 0, comma, plus or minus 5.66. Okay, then you just graph this and you just connect your vertices and your co-vertices together, and it creates an ellipse that looks kind of like a weird oval. Okay, all right, number 2. So is it in standard form? Yes. Okay, there's not any numbers in our numerator up here, so our center is going to be at 0, 0. Okay, for the vertices, our A is going to be the larger of this, so A squared is 64, which means that our A is going to be 8. Our B squared is 25, which means that our B is going to be 5. Now, since our A squared comes first, that means it's going to be a horizontal ellipse. Okay, so that means we're going this direction for our A. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 8 this direction. Okay, so that means our vertices are going to be plus or minus 8, 0. Our co-vertices are going to go the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so those are going to be 0 plus or minus 5. To find our foci points, we have c squared equals a squared, which is 64, minus b squared, which is 25. Okay, well, 64 minus 25 is 39, so we have c squared equals 39. Take the square root of both sides, and c is going to equal around 6.24. Okay, it goes on the major axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.24. Somewhere right in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.24. Okay, so these points are going to be plus or minus 6.240. And then draw your ellipse. Okay, all right, let's go to the next one. Number 3, our center here is going to be -1, 2. So negative 1, 2, right there. Okay, our vertices, well, our a squared is going to be 49, which means that our a is going to be 7. Our b squared is going to be 9, so our b is going to be 3. Okay, since our a squared came first, it's going to be a horizontal. So from here, we count 7 both directions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so our vertices here are going to be at negative 8, 2. And at 6, 2. Our co-vertices, we're going up 3, 1, 2, 3, and down 3, 1, 2, 3. Our co-vertices are going to be at negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and negative 1, negative 1. Okay, so notice when you have a shift from your center, these are not going to be plus or minus. They're going to be different points there. Okay, all right, now we need to find our foci points. So we have c squared equals 49 minus 9. Well, 49 minus 9 is 40, so c squared equals 40. Then take the square root of that. C is going to be around 6.32. Okay, so we count that from our center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.32. So we're right in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.32. Okay, so these points are going to be 5. This one right here is going to be 5.322. And then the other direction is going to be, this is negative 7 here, so negative 7.322. And then draw your ellipse. Okay. All right. Let's skip over to one that is not in standard form. So let's look at number 6. All right, number 6. Okay, so to get it in standard form, this needs to equal 1. Okay, so to get that to equal 1, well, anything divided by itself equals 1. So we're going to divide this entire thing by 144. Okay, so when we divide this by 144, 9 over 144 simplifies down to 1 over 16. Okay, so that's just going to be x squared over 16. 16 over 144 simplifies down to 1 over 9. So that's going to be y squared over 9. And then 144 divided by 144 is 1. So now this is in standard form. Okay, so our center is going to be at 0, 0. Okay, our a squared is going to be 16, which means our a is going to be 4. Our b squared is going to be 9, which means our b is going to be 3. Okay, so now we do everything else the same way, just like what we did on the other note sheet. Okay, so we have, since our a squared comes first, it's going to be horizontal. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so our vertices are going to be this one right here. So plus or minus 4, 0. Our co-vertices are going to be 0, plus or minus 3. To find our foci, we have c squared equals 16 minus 9. Okay, 16 minus 9 is 7. So c squared equals 7. Take the square root of that, And C is going to equal around 2.65. So 2.65, right in here. Okay, so that is going to be plus or minus 2.650. And then draw your ellipse. Okay, on number 7, well, first thing you want to do is you want to get your x's together. Okay, so we have x squared minus 10x. Okay, now this is, we're going to have to do like what we did on the last note sheet with circles. So we're going to leave a gap and we're going to have to do complete the square with that. Okay, on the other one, we have 4y squared. Okay, we'll just leave it like that for now. So, because we didn't have any other y's to put together, and that negative 9 we'll just leave there for now. Okay, so first we want to take our negative 10, divide it by 2, you get negative 5. Square that, you get 25. So we've got to add 25 right here, and we've got to add 25 right here. Okay, now factoring this, what multiplies give you 25 and adds give you negative 10 is negative 5 and negative 5. Okay, so we have x minus 5 squared. I forgot my plus sign right there. Okay, then we have plus 4y squared equals, well, negative 9 plus 25 is 16. Okay, so now that we have this to where we have our x's together, and we have an x squared and we have a y squared. Okay, now we've got to get this to where it's a 1. So we've got to divide the entire thing by 16. So we have, that's not going to simplify. So we have x minus 5 squared over 16. 4 over 16 is going to simplify down to 1/4. So we have y squared over 4, and 16 divided by 16 is 1. So now we're in standard form. Okay, so our center here is going to be 5, 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, our a squared is going to be 16, which means our a is going to be 4. So since our a squared goes first, it's horizontal. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our b squared is 4, so our b is going to be 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so our vertices here are going to be 1, 0, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 0. Our co-vertices are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, and 5, negative 2. Okay, then our foci, we have c squared equals, our a squared is 16 minus our b squared, which is 4. 16 minus 4 is 12, so we have c squared equals 12. Take the square root of both sides. And our c is going to equal, let's see, I don't have a calculator brought up, and they didn't, oh yeah, they did write it down. Okay, it's going to be equal 3.46. Okay, so then we have 1, 2, 3.46, somewhere right in there. 1, 2, 3.46, somewhere right in there. Okay, so these points are going to be 1.540 and 8.460 is what that's going to be. Okay, and then we want to draw our ellipse right there. Okay, all right, let's look at number 8 to get another example like that one. Okay, so first you want to get your x's together, then you want to get your y's together. So we have 4x squared minus 32x. Okay, then we have plus y squared plus 8y, and we've got to get that 76 over to the other side, so it equals negative 76. Okay, so out of this first part, before we can complete this square, first we've got to take out a greatest common factor. We can take out a greatest common factor of 4 out of that. So it gives you 4x squared minus 8x. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and leave a gap because then we can complete the square. Okay, over here, we don't have to factor anything out. So we have plus y squared plus 8y, I'm going to leave a gap, equals negative 76. And I am running over on this, but it's okay. So then, from there, we can complete the square with this side, with the x's. So negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. So we've got to add 16 here and add 16 here. Then we do this one. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So we've got to add 16 again. Okay, over here we have 4 that we pull down. What multiplies to give you 16 adds to give you negative 8 is negative 4. So we have x minus 4 squared. Okay, over here, what multiplies to give you 16 adds to give you 8 is a positive 4. So we have y plus 4 squared equals, over here we have negative 76 plus, oh, hold on one second. I made a mistake. Yes, okay. This first 16 right here, I forgot about this part. That's my fault. It's because we took out a 4 right here. So when you take out a number, before you add it to the other side to make sure that it's balanced on both sides, you have to multiply that times this. And I forgot that step. So 4 times 16 is actually 64. So we have 64 right there instead of that first 16. So on this side, it should say negative 76 plus 64 plus 16. Okay, and that's only because we had taken out this 4 right here. So you've got to multiply that to balance out both sides. Okay, so negative 76 plus 64 plus 16 is going to equal 4. So now we have these where we have our x's together, we have our y's together. So now we've got to get this where it equals 1. So to do that, we're going to divide the entire equation by 4. Okay, 4 divided by 4, that cancels out, but we still have to have a fraction, so it's going to be over 1. So this is going to say x minus 4 squared over 1. Okay, this one, there's nothing to cancel there, so it's going to be over 4. So we have y plus 4 squared over 4. And 4 divided by 4 equals 1. So now this is in standard form. Now it's in the correct format for us to be able to graph. And our center here is going to be 4, negative 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our a squared is going to be 4, which means our a is going to be 2. And since it's our a squared second, this is going to be vertical. So here and here. Okay, so our vertices are going to be 1, 2, 3, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 2. And 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, negative 6. Okay, then we have our co-vertices. So b squared equals 1, which means b is going to equal 1. So here and here. So that's going to be 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 4. And 5, negative 4. Okay, then we have to find our foci points. So we have c squared equals 4 minus 1. C squared equals 3. Take the square root of that. And c is going to equal 1.73. So around here and here. So those points are going to be around 4, negative 2.27 and 4, negative 5.73. And then draw our picture or ellipse here. It's going to look like this. Okay, All right, so that's graphing ellipses. Let's look at writing equations of ellipses. So the next note sheet here. Okay, this top part sums up the stuff that we've already talked about. It sums up the equation for a horizontal ellipse and then vertical ellipse, and then tells us the A is the distance from the center to the vertices, which is on the major axis, and B is the distance from the center to the co-vertices, which is on the minor axis. And then it reminds you of how to find the foci points, and it just reminds you that A is greater than B. Okay, so this time they've given us a graph, and we have to write our equation and everything from that. Now, they did not give us the focus points, so we actually have to find that by using our A's and B's and all that kind of stuff in here, and we just count that out. Okay, so first our center here is going to be 0, 0. Our vertices, it's the longer one right here, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's going to be -6 that direction. So we have plus or minus 6, 0. Our co-vertices are 1, 2, 3, 4, so 0 plus or minus 4. Okay, so we're working backwards from what we did before. Okay, so we have over here, we'll say c squared equals, well, if our vertices are 6, that means our A is 6, and that means A squared is going to be 36. And our co-vertices is 4, so our B is 4, so our B squared is going to be 16. So 36 minus 16 is 20, so we have c squared equals 20. Take the square root of both sides, and c is going to equal 4.47. So 1, 2, 3, 4.47. 1, 2, 3, 4.47. Something like that. So that is going to be plus or minus 4.470. Okay, so our equation. Since the center is at 0, 0, then it's going to be x squared and y squared. Like this. Okay, since it's a horizontal, our A squared is going to go first. Our A was 6, our A squared is 36. Our B squared is 16. And that's the equation. That's all you have to do. Okay, number 2, it's a vertical. Okay, our center is still 0, 0. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for our vertices. Okay, so that is going to be 0 plus or minus 7. Okay, since it's vertical, our A squared is going to go second, and 7 squared is 49. Okay, our co-vertices are 1, 2, 3, so that's plus or minus 3, 0. 3 squared is 9. To find our focus points, okay, we have c squared equals 49 minus 9. So c squared equals 40. Take the square root of both sides. And c is going to equal around 6.32. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.32, somewhere right in there. Something like that. So these points are going to be 0 plus or minus 6.32. Okay, all right, let's look at number 3. This time there is a shift in this. So the center is at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3, -6 is our center. Okay, so that means we have x minus 3 squared. It is horizontal, so our a squared is going to go right here, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 squared is 25. Okay, then we're going to have y plus 6 squared, and our co-vertices, that's our b is 1, so 1 squared is 1. So that's our equation. Okay, so our vertices here, we have -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -2, -6, and 8, -6. Our co-vertices, we have 3, -5, and 3, -7. Okay, then our foci points. We have c squared equals 25 minus 1, so c squared equals 24. Square root that. C is going to equal around 4.9. So 1, 2, 3, 4.9. That is really close right in there. Right there. So those points are going to be 7.9, -6, and -1.9, -6. Okay, let's flip over to the other side. Now we're finding it when they are given vertices, covertices, and foci. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do is you've got to find the center, HK, and you can use the midpoint formula with the vertices or covertices to do this. Okay, we talked about the midpoint formula on the last note sheet. Then use the vertices to find A, use the covertices to find B. If given the foci, use the formula c squared equals a squared minus b squared to find the missing part. Then determine the direction of the ellipse to write the equation. Okay, all right, so vertices here. They gave vertices are -5, 0, and 5, 0. Okay, so if our vertices are on the x-axis, then that means that it's a horizontal. That means it's going to be this direction. So you know it's going to be horizontal. So let's write that down first. Okay. Also, because of that, you can figure out that the center is going to be at 0, 0, just based on what these are right here. You can find the center using the midpoint formula if you wanted to do that. The midpoint formula from here to here is going to be -5 plus 5 divided by 2, and then 0 plus 0 divided by 2. Okay, well, -5 plus 5 is 0, 0 divided by 2 is 0, 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 divided by 2 is 0. So you can do it that way to find out the center. Our center here is going to be 0, 0. Okay, our vertices, since they are -5 and 5, it means our A is 5, which means that our A squared is going to be 25. Okay, our B is 2, so our B squared is going to be 4. Okay, so since this is horizontal, our A squared is going to go first. The center is 0, 0, so that means it's going to be x squared and y squared. Okay, so we have 25 and we have 4. Okay, on number 5, because our vertices right here are on the y's, okay, then that means it's going to be vertical. And because these are 0s and 8s and 6s and all that kind of stuff, you're going to end up doing something like this, but your center is going to be at 0, 0. Okay, and you should always be able to pick that out. If you have 0s and 0 on the x's and then 0s on the y's, or vice versa, your center is always going to be at 0, 0. Okay, our A is 8. So our A squared is going to be 64. Our B is 6, so our B squared is going to be 36. Okay, this time because it's vertical, our A squared is going to go second. So it's going to be x squared over 36 and y squared over 64. Okay, let's look at the next one. The next one, you're going to have to do a little bit more work because it's not going to be at 0, 0. Okay, since our y's are the same right here, okay, then that means it's going to be a horizontal ellipse. And then notice our x's are the same on the co-vertices. That means it's going to be horizontal. So if the x's were the same on the vertices right here, then that would be a vertical. But since the y's are the same, it's a horizontal. Okay, you can look at that, like if you wanted to flip it over and look at a graph and see that, to see it easier, you can do that. Either way is going to work though. Let's use our midpoint formula here to find out what our center is going to be. So we have -5 plus 1 divided by 2 and 1 plus 1 divided by 2. Okay, so our center here, -5 plus 1 is -4. -4 divided by 2 is -2. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So our center is -2, 1. Okay. How far are these points from -2, 1? Well, -5, 1 from -2, 1. We're looking at our x's here. How far is -5 from -2? Well, it's 3 away. So that means our a is going to be 3. So our a squared is 9. Okay. Our b, how far is 3 from 1 is 2. -1 from 1 is 2. So our b is 2, which means our b squared is going to be 4. So since this is horizontal, our a squared is going to go first. Okay, so we have, in our numerator, we're going to have x plus 2 squared over 9. And then we have y minus 1 squared over 4 equals 1. Okay, number 7. Our x's are the same this time. So this is going to be vertical. Okay, first let's find the center. So we have 5 minus 5, I said 5 plus 5, sorry. 5 plus 5 over 2. And then 8 plus -6 over 2. Okay, 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 8 and -6 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So our center is going to be 5, 1. Okay, to find our a, it's vertical, so we're comparing how far our y values are from here. Okay, so 8 from 1 is 7. So our a is going to be 7. So our a squared is going to be 49. Our b, how far is 11 from 5, is 6. So our b is 6, and our b squared is 36. To write our equation here, because it's vertical, our a squared goes second. Okay, so we have x minus 5 squared over 36 plus y minus 1 squared over 49 equals 1. Okay, all right, number 8. Because our y's are the same here, this is going to be horizontal. Okay, so to find our center, we have 0 plus -10 over 2, and we have 6 plus 6 over 2. Okay, 0 and -10 is -10. -10 divided by 2 is -5. 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So our center is -5, 6. Okay, our a. 0 from -5 is 5 units. So our a is 5. Our a squared is going to be 25. For our b, let's see. Am I looking at the right thing here? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, this is for our foci points. That's where I was confused. Okay, we don't know our B yet because they gave us our foci points. So we're going to have to solve to find what our B is by using the C squared equals A squared minus B squared. I was confused because the Y values were all the same right here. I was like, that doesn't make sense, but it's because I didn't read that said focus points. Okay, so how far is our focus from our center? Well, -2 from -5 is 3. So our foci is 3. Okay, so we're going to have to work backwards here. So 3 squared, which is our C squared, is 9. And then we know our A squared is 25, but we've got to solve for what our B squared is. Okay, so first we got to subtract 25 over. So 9 minus 25 is -16. Then divide both sides by -1. So 16 equals B squared. Then take the square root of both sides. So our B is going to be 4. Our B squared is 16. Okay, so our equation here, it's horizontal, so our A squared goes first. So we have X plus 5 squared over 25 plus Y minus 6 squared over 16 equals 1. I'm sorry, that's crooked. I'm just writing at an angle here. Okay. So we're going to have to do that whenever it's asked, when it gives you the foci points and we're having to find one of the other points. So pay attention to what they give you there. Okay. On number 9, they gave us the vertices here. Our x's are the same, so that means it's going to be vertical this time. Okay. So to find our center, we have -9 plus -9 divided by 2, and then -2 plus -12 divided by 2. So our center, -9 plus -9 is -18. -18 divided by 2 is -9. -2 plus -12 is -14. -14 divided by 2 is -7. So our center is -9, -7. Okay. -12 from -7 is 5 units away. So our A is going to be 5. So our A squared is 25. Our foci points, -11 from -7 is 4 units away. Okay, so our C is 4. Our C squared is 16. So to find out what our B is, we've got to do 16 equals 25 minus B squared. Okay, so you want to subtract the 25 over. 16 minus 25 is -9. Divide by -1. And 9 is our B squared. Okay, so that means our B is going to be 3. So our equation here, it's vertical, so our A squared is going to go second. Okay, our equation is going to be X plus 9 squared over 9 plus Y plus 7 squared over 25 equals 1. Okay. All right, these last two here, same step, but this time they are giving you the co-vertices and not the vertices. Okay, so on number 10, if they gave us our co-vertices here and our y's are the same, okay, this is going to be vertical. And you can see that if you flip over, let's look at a graph real quick. So 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0 right here, and then -5, 0. If these are your co-vertices, then that means your vertices would be this way, which makes it a vertical. Okay, so our center is that we have 5 plus -5 divided by 2, and we have 0 plus 0 divided by 2. Okay, 5 plus -5 is 0, 0 divided by 2 is 0. 0 plus 0, 0, 0 divided by 2 is 0. So our center is at 0, 0. Okay, this will tell us our B. Okay, our b, 5 from 0 is 5, so our b squared is 25. Our focus here is going to tell us how far our c is. So we have, how far is 12 from 0? Well, it is 12 units. So our c squared is going to be 144. So to find our a squared, we've got to do 144 equals a squared minus 25. So we've got to add 25 over, which is 169 is our a squared. So our a is going to be 13, which we don't really need to know that. We just need to know the 169, but it's okay. Okay, so this is vertical, so our a squared is going to go second. So, and our center is 0, 0. So that means we're going to have x squared over 25 plus y squared over 169 equals 1. Okay, all right, number 11, same thing, they gave us our covertices, and this time our x's are the same. So if our x's are the same, then that means it's going to be a horizontal, and you can see that by flipping it over on the other side. Okay, if it's 2, 7, and 2, -9, our covertices are this way, that means our vertices are this way, so it's going to be horizontal. Okay, so our center, we have 2 plus 2 divided by 2, and 7 plus -9 divided by 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2. 7 plus -9 is -2, -2 divided by 2 is -1. So 2, -1 is going to be our center. Okay, how far is 7 from -1? It is 8 units, so our b is going to be 8, and our b squared is going to be 64. And then for our foci, how far is 8 from 2? It's 6, so our c is 6, so our c squared is 36. So we've got to solve for what our a squared is. So we have 36 equals a squared minus 64. So we've got to add 64 over to the other side. That's 100. So our a squared is 100, which means our a is 10, which we don't really need to know that part. We just need the 100. Okay, and since this is horizontal, our a squared is going to go first. So we have x minus 2 squared over 100 plus y plus 1 squared over 64 equals 1. Okay. All right. I know this is a lot of information, but I wanted to combine everything into one video. So this is graphing ellipses and then also writing equations of ellipses.